What's up, everybody? Schuyler here, founder of Reach Fat Loss and Fitness. Our goal is to help get you in the best shape of your life sustainably in as simple and easy of a way as possible. And today we are interviewing one of our rock star clients, Joanne. Now, Joanne was able to lose 35 pounds in her 12 weeks of the program, 37 pounds in between these actual pictures, and she has absolutely crushed it. This is definitely a note-taking video. Joanne's going to be interviewed by our very own coach, Amy, and I really hope you do enjoy. Now, if you are sick of the diet yo-yo, you're sick of struggling to lose fat, of losing fat and gaining it back, I want to invite you to grab a complimentary consultation. You can do this by going down into the description of this video, and on that call, we'll be mapping out exactly what your lifestyle looks like now, what your fat loss struggles have been, and the exact things that you can do to see results. And then along with that, we'll be able to see if working together would be a good fit. So if that's you, go down below this video now, grab that consultation. But with that being said, I hope you enjoy this interview.
Hi everyone, we are here with our client JOANNE, and she absolutely crushed her 12-week program. She came in to lose 20 pounds and ended up blowing that out of the water, and we're excited to talk to her today. So JOANNE, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, of course. Tell us a little bit about what life was like before you joined or found Reach Fat Loss and Fitness.
Okay, so it's interesting because first, it was kind of a perfect storm for me. Within, I'd say 2 years, I retired. I relocated. It was COVID. And I was still working out and exercising what I thought was the best. I was doing tons of cardio. I was lifting weights, not consistently. I was eating, and I was drinking wine like everybody started to do during COVID, almost every night a glass of wine. And I noticed that the pounds just started to keep coming on. I didn't get on the scale. I guess I just didn't want to face it. But I did start, I just noticed my clothes were not fitting me really well. We went on a cruise. I came back and I said, I have to do something about this. And I just didn't feel like me anymore. I was aging. I was, as I said, I was retired, and I was a woman of a certain age now. And all of a sudden, my body just started to really, really change. So again, I always exercised. I always did a spin bike. All these things that I thought were so great for me, but I wasn't budging. I wasn't budging. And one day, I just said, I have to get on the scale. And I got on the scale, and I'm like, oh my, this is really bad. And I was following you probably for over a year on Instagram because I was doing all those crazy fad things that everybody tries. I was doing, the protein shakes and the protein bars and the protein powders, and I wasn't into supplements except for protein powders. And I was looking at all the protein hacks and how many grams of protein. And then I started to try to count macros, and that was like impossible. Yeah. But in my lifestyle now, I do golf. I'm very active. We do go out to dinner. So I just said, I need to do something that is going to change this and get this into control. And that's when I contacted you.
And that was awesome. And it's been quite a journey. But I want to ask you a question. When you were feeling, was it more about how you look or how you felt when you were like the weight wasn't coming off and you're doing all the things? What was weighing you down the most?
I think what was weighing me down was how I looked, but also kind of how I felt, because I had gone to my doctor and I noticed over the last 3 or 4 years, my blood pressure was going up, my glucose levels were going up. My cholesterol was going up. All things that I always had in control was now out of my control. And I didn't want to age this way. I wanted to age healthy. I'm a young 64 and I didn't want to be an old 64. And I always led a very active lifestyle. So it was really very frustrating. So it was really both. It was, I guess the priority was my health, and then how I looked and how I felt.
Yeah, well, good. And so you bring us forward. So then you found me on Instagram, where you'd been following me for a year, but then something just made you decide to make the call.
Right. Well, the decision was when I finally got on the scale. Okay. And I said, oh, this is not good. And I just said, I just was unhappy. I couldn't fit into any of my clothes. I just kept, and I never did this in my life. I never bought bigger sizes, but I started to buy bigger sizes. Mm-hmm. And, I was successful in a career, and now I just felt it was all out of control. I just didn't know what to do anymore. I thought I was doing all the right thing. I wasn't a junk food eater, but I was snacking a lot. But I thought I was snacking good snacks. I was grabbing nuts. I was grabbing some gluten-free crackers and some cheese and things like that. So
Right. So we had our consult call, and what was it about the consult call that made you just dive in? Like what was it that made you say, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think from the very beginning, it just made sense to me. It wasn't for me, it wasn't, and maybe for other people, it wasn't a huge lifestyle change for me because I was
Okay.
always,
Yeah.
because I was active. But I never heard of, I heard about fasting. A doctor a couple of years ago suggested it, but I never knew how to do it.
Mhm.
And I never thought I could give up certain things. Thought I could give up coffee without cream in it and
Yeah.
things like that. So I think once you explained what the program was and that there would be, all the support, and I love that there were workouts because I never worked out. I always worked out. I worked out probably 4 or 5 years ago with a trainer religiously, probably for 10 years, 3 times a week. But I never worked out the way that you taught me to, which was to fatigue. I
Yeah.
never lifted as heavy weights as I was lifting. And so this all kind of made sense to me. I was kind of tweaking things that I did. And then the walking. I
Mhm.
remember having the conversation with you and said, well, I'm on my spin bike. And you're like, well, you're not really burning fat. What is your heart rate? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to peak. And you're saying,
Yeah.
no, that's like not good. And I never realized, the walking. So I said, all right, let me try this. I'm going to try like a whole different approach to exercise and see
Yeah.
where this goes. And the fasting was something I thought I could probably fit into my lifestyle. I didn't know if I was going to love it or hate it. It seemed very daunting to me in the beginning because I was like, how am I going to go out and work out or go play golf or do whatever without eating anything?
Right.
Because you're so conditioned that you have to have food in your body.
Yeah.
So that's really what attracted me to this program.
Awesome. And so you get in, you're immediately, you feel like, okay, week one goes by, week two goes by, you're like already dropping weight.
Yeah, it was remarkable. It was really
Yeah.
remarkable. I
Yeah.
think a lot of the other thing about this program, immediately when I went into it, I said, okay, I'm blocking out all the other noise. I'm
Mm.
blocking out
Yes, you did a great job of
all
that.
my I'm not going to listen to any other fitness guru online or anything. I'm just going to focus on this program. I think the other thing was, which really turned it around for me, I really started to understand the science behind fasting and the science behind the diet and the science behind the walking. And that was through the modules. And I think
Yeah.
that was the most important thing. Your advice to me was get those modules done in 2 weeks, and I really zoomed through them.
Yeah.
But I did them consciously. I took
Yeah.
notes when I was doing them, and I learned a lot with that. And I thought I knew a lot about nutrition, and I thought I knew a lot about exercise. But I learned so much that was really a lifestyle wellness for life change for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And that's why you were able to, and you just honed in into the lifestyle and you just executed week after week after week. And I think you tweaked along the way, but then when you found your balance and you found the weight loss, you just rode that. Like you just put it on repeat and and you're still doing it today, I'm assuming.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us what that was like as you kept going week by week and losing more and more weight. Cause you're one of our, if not the person that lost the most weight in a 12-week period.
Well, I think I got on the scale every day.
Mhm.
I got on the scale every day. I'm more of a type A personality. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. I'll execute it. But I also want to see those results.
Yeah.
Data was very important to me. So I did weigh myself every day. And when I saw the pounds, I think I lost 6 pounds in the first week. I
Mhm.
couldn't believe it because
Yeah.
I wasn't struggling with the program. I wasn't starved. In the beginning, I was a little hungry, but I kept my mantra to what you said to me was, hunger is just a feeling. You're
Right.
not going to die if you don't eat if you don't eat a meal.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that's what I did. I just dove into it, blocked everything out, and really focused. And then as soon as I started to see the results, you don't want to like ruin it. So you keep going and you
Yeah.
keep doing those things. And I even took a couple of vacations, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do at restaurants now? We like to go out to dinner. We like to do those
Yeah.
things on our vacation. But I learned how to adapt. I really learned that I really need to just cut out certain things, strategically when I order at a restaurant. So it easily fit into what I was doing. It
Yeah.
wasn't changing anything. And the fasting, because I'm active, I just really fasted in the morning when I was doing other other things. Either I was working out, I was walking, I was playing golf, I was doing something else. And it was just keeping busy and just keeping that mantra that, I had to maintain this consistency, which was really important. I had to really plan out what I was going to do for the week, especially when I went on vacation or I went to visit someone, or because I'm retired, so we kind of have a little bit of a mobile lifestyle. And I just stuck with it.
Yeah, you did. And I feel like you're one of the ones that your results meant more to you than anything that you possibly, like a snack, that a favorite snack or something that was like the handful of nuts just aren't as attractive anymore when you like how you look and you feel great.
Right. And I kept saying that, okay, do I want the chocolate cake or do I want to look and feel better? And that's exactly what I would say to myself. I made sure the food wasn't around the house. And not that I always had a lot of junk food, but I had snacks.
Yeah.
My husband still has wine every night, but I don't have the wine every night. I have it one time a week, and I'm fine with that. And it's funny, I lost my taste for a lot of it. I lost my taste for I don't know if you remember in the beginning, I said, I can't give up my chocolate every day. I have to have chocolate after lunch. Well, I've given that up, it's gone. And those cravings, and I think that's what you have to understand, that the cravings do eventually go away within a week.
Stop feeding them. Yeah. And then you change your diet to the high protein and things like that. It definitely goes away, but we have to kind of train our brain to understand that as well. But it's also about loving your results and loving what you're creating, and then understanding that you're responsible either way it goes, right? You're responsible for a great looking body, or you're also responsible for one that's not great looking, and it's your choice.
And I think this is probably the best shape I've ever been in my entire life.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm probably like around my high school weight now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm in the best shape. Even when I was working out with a trainer, I never looked like this.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And the thing is, like, people stop me all the time. What are you on? That's the first question they ask. What are you on? I'm like, I'm not on anything. I'm on discipline. That's what I'm on.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, what are you doing? Because everybody assumes in this day and age you're taking, Ozempic, you're doing some kind of supplements and I'm really proud of myself that I did this without doing that. I never would do that. Because of health history in my family, I wouldn't do that kind of a thing. But I am shocked that you don't need to do that. You don't need to do the Ozempic, and you don't need to do this. And the good thing about this is when I went to the doctor, I had done an in-body last November, and I went after I lost all this weight and started at the end of our 90 days. I went to the doctor and I did the in-body, and my body fat went down like incredibly. My BMI was totally normal, which is incredible. But the thing that surprised even the doctor the most is I gained muscle while losing all that fat. Where people that are on any kind of Ozempic or anything, that's immediately they get the Ozempic face, they get, they don't have the muscle tone. And as you move into your 60s and later in life, you want to make sure if you can build it, that's great, but at least maintain it.
Exactly.
People can't even maintain it at that stage.
Right. And there's a lot of misnomers out there, and you've broken through, and I've broken through, that people don't think at our age, I'm at 54, and you're 64, that you can't build muscle at that age. And it's like, yeah, you can.
Right.
You just have to be very consistent, and you have to lift heavy weight. But to your point, I mean, you have just done an amazing job, and I feel like our execution was very similar. And we just know that if you put all four of those things together, the walking, the strength training, the fasting, and then the clean eating, it will create the body that you never even knew you could have.
And the clean eating, I feel so much better. I started to think there was some gallbladder history in my family and stuff. And I started to think, well, maybe I have gallbladder disease because I just I wasn't feeling right. And as soon as I started to do this, I felt so much better. And the clean eating, and I cook clean, I eat clean. And I always joke to my husband, this is actually saving us money because I'm not buying the junk. Not that I bought overly junk, but there was always some kind of chips, and there were always crackers, and there was always that kind of stuff in the house. And now it's all fresh vegetables, organic vegetables. I try to buy grass-fed meat, yogurt, which I love to eat yogurt, and I can eat it on this way of life kind of a thing. And going out to dinner is really a breeze. I'll order some some sort of protein, lots of veggies, salads, and it's not an issue.
Right. And it doesn't feel like you're on a diet. It just feels
No,
like you care of
no.
yourself. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So what's next for JOANNE Mannion? What's coming up? Or your arms look amazing. You look extremely beautiful. You do not look 64 at all. I feel like you've gotten younger since you've been on the program. But you've been an amazing client and we're grateful for you. But what's next? How do you feel like you're going to sustain this lifestyle?
I think I'm just going to keep it up. I love walking. I never thought I would love walking. I always thought I had to run or do something, I don't know, crazy. I've shared with you, I've probably gone through at least 6 or 7 novels, books on tape when I walk, and I really love it. And I'm probably walking 4 times a week, straight 6 miles, which is incredible. And I remember when I said, there's no way I'm walking 6 miles, but I love it. I get my headphones on, and then when I golf, it's like 3 miles and 3 miles. And it's funny, I'm like antsy, like after this interview, I got to get my other 3 miles in. I'm going to go do that. I don't want to miss it. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it. It's so true. It's so true. And you touched on something that I wanted to make a comment about because I feel the exact same way. You said you're proud of yourself for doing it with naturally and doing it this way without anything. And that to me is the internal change. That's where you're like, I did this and I can be proud of it.
And it's interesting because a friend of mine, we were in the gym and she was sharing with me how she had some issues, health issues and stuff. And I was saying, and she's having, sleep issues and stuff. And I started, I have this crazy bed that I shared with you that tells me my sleep AI, and my heart rate at night has my resting heart rate has gone down, I want to say almost 20 points. I mean, it's crazy. And my blood pressure. So it's keeping that up and keeping healthy. And I think the bottom line is you got to do it for you. You can't do it for somebody else, or you can't do it for something. Well, I have a wedding and my daughter's getting married in 6 months. I want to look better. Because if you're doing it for those reasons, it's going to be temporary. It has to be a lifestyle change. And you have to love it. I think once you see the results, you just love it.
Yeah. And it's not difficult. It's something that is it's a matter of how you frame it, and I think the walking is so important because I was the same way. I was like, what do you mean I only have to walk? I'm not going to do anything. I always thought you had to be a runner to be fit. I didn't love running, but we've broken so many of the stereotypes doing it this way. And then proving to ourselves that we can do it. It's just been a blessing.
And it's just so funny because I'm almost unrecognizable to people. When I was walking the other day and somebody walked by me and said, "Hi, JOANNE." I said, "Hi, how you doing?" Kept walking. Well, he turned around and walked and said, "Wait, is that you?" He because he hadn't seen me for maybe 5 or 6 months. So It's really incredible. Today at the gym, someone I haven't seen since probably 5 or 6 months too, stopped me and said, "I saw you the other day, but I wasn't sure if it was you, so I didn't say hello. I hope you weren't upset." And I think you said hi to me, but I was like, "Who is that?" And then I realized, and she came right up to me today, she couldn't believe it was me. So that makes you feel really great that, you've accomplished this and people take note to it.
Yeah, they take note to it. You feel good about yourself and then you just feel good. And it just seems like to me, there's so much life left to live. And in a new body, it just feels great.
Right, listen, I want to be here for my grandchildren and see them grow, and I did this really for that because I don't want to. I've seen a generation of our parents, my parents. They didn't do any of this stuff, and they were old at my age. They were old. Yeah. They looked old. They acted old. They felt old, and I don't want to do that at this stage.
Yeah, well, you are definitely defying what a grandmother looks like. You look amazing, and you're the new gold standard for what a grandma can look like. So we're so grateful for you. Thank you so much for trusting us and investing in us and investing in yourself.
Okay, and thank you for everything. The support from you has been outstanding and unbelievable. When you're always a little hesitant when you see somebody on Instagram because there's a lot of crazy people there. And was really hesitant, and I'm like, oh, let me give this a shot. I am so happy because everything that you portray on Instagram is who you are.
Thank
So
you so much. I'm blessed that you trusted me, and just thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And stay in touch with us. Keep us posted, and I'm going to make it back down to South Florida soon, and we'll have
okay, great.
together,
Love
have
to see
dinner.
you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Hey, thank you so much for watching that interview. I hope that you had some very positive insights and that you are ready to continue your fat loss journey. If you are struggling to lose fat or you are looking for guidance or accountability, I'm going to invite you to check out below this video in the description. We've got a free application page where we are offering fat loss roadmaps. You can click on that page, you can watch the video to learn a little bit more about what we do, and then if it feels like a good fit, you can grab a time to chat. So head down below this video, check that out. Besides that, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course, as always, make sure to eat smart, move more, sleep deep, and be grateful for this moment. I'll see you in the next video.